yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on the Sharpe Way Show. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and I am ready to rock and roll. And today, the idea or issue that I want to bring up is the idea of cybersecurity. Now, why would I want to bring that issue up? Well, obviously, you probably know if you've been paying attention, and some of you I know haven't been. You probably don't want to. But if you've been paying attention, then you know that there was recently a cyber attack, a ransomware attack against a Colonial Pipeline Company, which is a large pipeline company that runs a pipeline along the East Coast of the United States. I think it's like Texas to Jersey or something like that. It's a large chunk of our East Coast. And there was a ransomware attack, a cyber attack. And many of you in the past have kind of teased me about what I talk about when I talk about our military capability. I always talk about things like we have to have very powerful both cyber defense and cyber attack, both. And I talk about the idea of having special forces, all those things. Well, wouldn't those things be very valuable now? Yeah, kind of. Now, these guys are like kind of the weird, I guess, kind of weird cyber attackers, I guess, or cyber hackers, whatever you would call them, because they think they're Robin Hood. I'm not joking. They're like, sorry that this affected so many people. This is true. They're like, I'm sorry. We just want to take the money and donate it to good things. Yeah, I don't buy that at all. I think they got caught and now they're trying to pretend like they're all of a sudden the Robin Hood. But there is an issue. And this is a smart move on their part, I should say. A smart move. They're saying, oh, see, we're getting the evil capitalist too, to get that whole part of the world on their side. See, we're just trying to get capitalists so that we can give money to the people who need it. That's what it is. That's what they're trying to say. Yeah, it's not true. I don't believe it. I mean, is it possible? I'm not 100% sure. I'm 99% sure. It is possible that these Russian hackers are Robin Hood and really want to help out the poor. It's possible. I'm not betting on that. There are a bunch of guys and gals, probably mostly young guys, because that's who usually does this stuff, who now are attacking us. But here's the most important piece. They're probably attacking us, and they're probably not alone. Meaning there are state actors who are helping, other people who are assisting, and we're finding out something that I've been talking about for years, and that is we are not ready for the cyber war. And all of these things are actually just testing us. These are this is the equivalent. I'm not joking. This is the equivalent of a nuclear test in the Pacific Ocean or in Siberia to see if the nuclear bombs work. So if I ever have to use them, I can use them. This is the same thing. Oh, I can shut down a pipeline? Nice. Oh, I can cripple an infrastructure? Nice. It does work. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Just a test. I'm sorry. But now if I need to use it, I can use it. And then that becomes the threat that both the Russians and the Chinese can use against anybody. It's the threat that I want us to be able to use against anybody. And the funny part is most people aren't speaking, in that way at all. They're like, oh, we got to get mad at the Russians or these dumb companies, they're messing up or whatever. They're not saying, no, we have a problem. So I want to show you a little bit. It says a short clip from the show Rising and how they're talking about it. It's not what you would think. You'll see.
A ransomware attack has shut down one of the most significant oil pipelines in the country. Let's throw this tweet up on the screen. So a criminal gang known as Darkside carried out a ransomware.
Darkside. This is like the DC comic villain. These guys like Batman and Superman and stuff, I guess.
Attack. It's forced the shutdown of vital U.S. pipeline. This is owned by Colonial. A person close to the investigation said the pipeline delivers roughly 45% of fuel consumed on the East Coast. And
now, while 45% is a lot, and it shut it down for a short period of time, what if they could actually trash it? Right? What if they could actually trash it? There was an actual attempt. I think it was either in Iran or Saudi Arabia, one of the two fighting each other, where they did a cyber attack and actually tried to make a situation to where parts of their system overheated so there could be at least one explosion. And if there was one explosion, because it's obviously all energy, there'd be massive explosions. Imagine if that was what they were talking about. In this case, they weren't. Again, this is a test.
My understanding of what happened here is the company at least is saying, take with a grain of salt, that the ransomware attack only hit their sort of like corporate office headquarters, but they were worried about it expanding to the...
Now, this is something that some of you in the military will get, but others you may not. There is a difference between a weapon and a weapons delivery system. Now you might go, what's the difference? I'll give you a specific one, which is kind of silly, but you'll get, and then I'll give you a bigger one. A rifle. A rifle is actually not a weapon unless you hit someone over the head with it. The weapon's the bullet. The rifle is a weapons delivery system. It delivers the weapon, which is the bullet, to the person. Now you might go, Larry, that's okay, that's minor. But now change it to say an artillery piece. The artillery piece, the big cannon that fires, they can fire all types of weapons. Nuclear weapons, gas weapons, explosives, all types of bombs. So the actual artillery piece is a weapons delivery system, and what lands is the actual weapon. A plane flying over, dropping a bomb. The plane isn't the weapon. The bomb is the weapon, right? So why am I saying this? Because the hack itself isn't the weapon. It's what it delivers. The hack is a weapons delivery system, and then what it delivers, the package delivers, is the actual weapon. So I think she's correct. They probably only attacked a certain number of computers. They were testing to see if the system worked. Can I deliver the weapon? Oh, I can. Next time, we'll see what actually happens. Now, I know you might think I'm being cynical, but that's how militaries work. That's how militaries think. That's what happens, right? What you see behind me, right? I was in artillery and in infantry when I was in the Marine Corps, and in intelligence, all three. And the M19 or 8, which is that weapon system you see right there, for those of you who know, that's not a weapon. That's a weapons delivery system. What comes out of it is the weapon.
Distribution network. And so out of an abundance of caution, they shut the whole thing down while I guess they figure out what's going on. This criminal gang is reported to have stolen data. And
they keep calling him a criminal gang. Do you think there is a criminal gang working in Russia that the Russian government doesn't know about? I mean, is it possible? Again, it is possible that that's true. But how unlikely is that? I mean, Russia is basically a thugocracy. So they're one big crime family. What's the odds that a gang could be in Putin's turf without him knowing? I mean, maybe,
but said, like, we're going to release all this data unless you do what we want you to do. And so that's the nature of what happened here. But as of this morning, that pipeline continues to be shut down, and we don't know exactly how long it's going to take to get it back online.
So from what I'm reading, you said it could take a couple of days. This could send gas prices over $3 a gallon for the first time since 2014.
So again, the reason why I bring this up is, okay, in this case, it just makes gas prices higher, which sucks, particularly if you drive a lot, if you drive to work. I mean, that's going to suck, obviously. Yes, that's bad. But imagine if instead of being shut down for a week, they blew it up or trashed it to the point where it was locked, where it would take you a month to get it. Imagine 45% of our gasoline not being able to work on the East Coast for a month. Imagine they hit not just this pipeline, but all of them for a month or 2 months or whatever. Or it could be recurring and it could attack again and attack again and attack again. Imagine that. Keep attacking. Imagine that. That's the type of mutually assured destruction I've been talking about. Cyber is the new way. That's what we should be thinking about. That's the problem, right? That's the big issue right there. So now we know what happened. I want to show you, if I could. Now, this is a former cybersecurity officer in the last administration. Was it administration before? I forgot which one of them. And he now is a consultant And let me show you what he has to say.
Thank you. Chris Krebs, now former director of cybersecurity and infrastructure at the security agency. Chris, thank you. The reporting is this is on the company, a known flaw with an available patch that the company didn't make. So here we are. How vulnerable are we?
So now he immediately blames the company. It's a valid blame, though, isn't it? I mean, how much do we want to wait for the federal government? How long? We're going to wait a month, a year? I'll give Biden something. At least Biden mentioned it. Something. We talked about it, but now what are they talking about? Let's do sanctions and stuff. Sanctions is not going to help. That's not the answer. But at least he mentioned it. I'll give him that. Let me grab a couple comments before I go, because a lot of you guys are into this. Let me grab some comments if I can. So Jonathan says, yes, sir, seeing shortages and calls for not hoarding here in South Carolina. Of course. Yes. Jimmy says the price of gas was already out of control. There's just another thing to add to the mess this country is in. Sad. Yeah, 100%. Yes. Tommy Brown, of course you are watching Tommy Brown. For those you don't know, this is like Tommy Brown's, this is his world right here. He's been talking about this years. He's been talking about this issue of cyber attacks, cyber crime, cyber defense, cyber everything. And by the way, if you want to, he has a Facebook group, Brown Book Cybersecurity, if you want to check it out. Of course he's watching. Yes, this is his thing. I'm going to bring him on later on today. Yes. Roman Resli, what do you think of Dave's? People ask me like every time. I give you the same question, the same answer every time. I guess you haven't been watching. I'll give it again. If Dave Smith can run for president, good for him. It's 3 years. He's got time. The field's going to change a bazillion times. Good for him. Hope he does well. It's not going to be as easy as some people think. That field is going to change. The odds are, for those who don't get this, and how the Libertarian Party works. A little off topic, but I want to answer it. For those who don't know how the Libertarian Party works is when there's no incumbent, and the odds are there'll be no incumbent, because the odds are Joe Biden's not going to run again. I mean, he might, but I doubt it, right? So it's either going to be Kamala or whoever they decide to put up, the Democrats do. And then if Trump is still around and wants to do it, he'll probably win if he wants to run, or he'll put up someone that he backs, whatever they may be. Or they might be an actual, primary. Depends upon what happens with Trump in the next couple of years, right? So when that happens, there's going to be people from all over the place who think, oh, I can get the libertarian line and I can run for president now. There's going to be people who all of a sudden become libertarian, who are going to be flooding us with opportunities and I hope at least money, if anything. If we get something out of it, money and press, I hope. So it's going to be a free-for-all in 2024. It's going to be a free-for-all. So I'm not sure I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, good luck. I hope he does well. Where was I? Okay. So let's see if I can keep going here. Jonathan says to the hackers, your attempt at hacking is putting pain in my butt, buzz off. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Joe says, so is this a deep state action? Ooh, interesting. I don't think so. No, I think the reverse. I think in reality, we realize that as a country, we are not prepared for this at all. We're just not. And you can see it as early as, was it 2003 when they had the blackout here on the East Coast? Remember one piece of the grid goes down, the whole East Coast goes down for weeks. We're not ready for this. Look at Texas. Texas went down for days. We're not ready for this, right? We're not ready for this. And we have to be ready to deal with this issue. Absolutely. Ed says the pipeline cyber attacks, which it might be set up, feels very sus about that. Do we think this is some kind of inside job or something? Why? I don't get that one. Don't they already have us over the barrel with COVID? Aren't they basically taking all our freedoms away with COVID? They don't need this. That's for sure. COVID has allowed them to take away almost all our rights anyway. This is not required. If they want to do this, they have to wait till like after we figured out that, they've taken all our rights from COVID, then throw this one at us and take more rights away. This is like overkill. I can't imagine that. So David says, I thought Space Force was supposed to protect us against cyber warfare. Yeah, me too. I thought Space Force was a terrible idea. People still love it though. I thought it was a terrible idea. I never thought Space Force was good. But anyway, yes. Wendy says they were hacking our load board last year. Nobody could find loads for a few days. Now our electronic ELD, you mean grid, will be next. Wendy, that's scary. That's scary. That they're already hacking all over the place, right? Once this gets in, you got to replace everything. I think it was the Saudis, if I'm not mistaken, who got hacked and had a cyber attack, and they replaced something like 5,000 or 10,000 computers. It was some crazy number like that. Because they were like, we can't take a chance that they're still in. So they basically just threw it. I mean, I guess it's good when you're the king of Saudi Arabia. You can just spend everybody's money any way you like. But when you have that, you just do it. They basically replaced literally thousands of computers. So I forget about it. I'm out. Yes. So there we go. Let me grab some more what this gentleman's saying. You're going to find some of this is pretty interesting.
Well, I haven't heard that part yet. As I understand it, the investigation is still ongoing. But there's no question that every organization out there could probably do at least a little bit better on their security.
And this is a point that I want to bring up. We can't just wait till it's the federal government to say, Biden, save us with Magic Space Force. Am I against Biden coming up with some kind of thing that will help the federal government? No, I hope he can. But the critical piece here is actually decentralization, so that when one piece of the grid goes down, only one piece of the grid goes down. And if each of them, and I know some of you go crazy on this, but if each of them has their own security protocols, some stronger than others, some weaker than others, we can learn from each other, and it's a whole lot harder to hack. It makes a lot of sense to hack one massive system. Doesn't matter how much money you got to put into it, how much time you put into it. The payoff is massive. But what if you have to hack in and do all that work and you get, I don't know, 2% of that? It's not worth it. You go someplace else. You make it a harder target by diversifying and by decentralizing.
Of their systems. But let's also be very clear here that this is a criminal enterprise that DarkSide and many others are a part of. And they have not to date felt meaningful consequences. And that needs to change. And I've got a lot of confidence that, what you heard out of Ann Neuberger, the Deputy National Security Advisor today, and that the Biden administration will start using more of the authorities and levers that they can pull to put an end to this digital pandemic.
No, they won't. He's 100% wrong. I get he has to say it. No, that's absolutely not true. Right? They don't have anything that's worth anything right now. We'll sanction them. We've been sanctioning Russians and Chinese for how many decades now? And it still happens. Doesn't work. I've been saying forever, end the sanctions. The reality of it is either Putin knows where these guys are or he doesn't. One of those two, I'm sorry, not Putin specific. Obviously, Putin personally doesn't know, right? But obviously his crew and his team, they know or they don't. If they know, Putin's got to do something. If he doesn't, we got to punish him, or we got to be insanely aggressive. And I'm not joking when I say this. We got to do Osama bin Laden. I'm not joking. We send in American special forces onto Russian soil, take these guys out, try to capture them. If they don't go quietly, but try to capture him and bring him back to America. He'll have an attack. He'll be all angry and upset. Yeah, I get you want to go to war. Go to war then. Go to war then. Stop the hacking or we will come and stop them. Now, that's a terrible answer. A better answer would be mutually assured destruction. You cyber attack us, we will cyber attack you 20 times worse and devastate you. But we can't because we don't have that capability yet because we've been ignoring it and we should have been building it for the past 15 years. And we haven't been. Through Democrats and Republicans, we have not been building cyber attack and cyber defense. When McAfee's been talking about it forever, when Tommy Brown's been talking about it forever, when people are talking about it forever, we're not building it. And we should be. Now we're stuck. We're dropping Navy SEALs in to some foreign country. That's our only option. Or have this happen to us every month. Think I'm joking? Watch this happen like every quarter. This will happen. Maybe even every month.
This ransomware pandemic, it is. They keep piling up, both against the government and against private businesses. If this is a cyber war, are we losing it?
Yes. Please say yes. Don't lie. Don't lie and say no.
Well, I wouldn't call it a cyber war, but it is absolutely.
That was a good dodge. See him dance to the side. He's like, well, it's not really a war, because if I say war, I got to say we're getting our ass kicked. So no, I mean, it's not war. Who says war?
National security threat.
Yeah.
And this is frankly the cybersecurity threat that the average American experiences on a regular basis. You don't always see China and Russian, cyber spies messing around on your networks, but you do see it when a hospital goes down,
Bingo.
when you lose access to refined product like this, when your kids have to stay home or they can't log into their school networks. This has been going on for years. They're getting much more sophisticated.
Yes.
They're getting diversified. I mean, it's kind of like Ocean's 11.
It's everything I just said. Yes. This is the super duper smart guy. Has everything I just said.
11, where you've got the safe cracker, the getaway guy. You've got the person that's monitoring the IT networks.
I want to be the getaway guy. That's the cool driver. I want to be that guy.
Same thing goes here. You're seeing some specialization and stratification. And I think that's in part what you saw in that apology note, or whatever you want to call it, from DarkSide. They picked the wrong partners. And I tell you what, I would not want to be that team right now, because they're going to get a lot of friction.
No, they're not getting friction. They're going to catch a couple of rounds. That's what they're going to catch. And you think I'm joking? This is underground stuff. There's no court system here. There's street justice. These guys screwed up. They're taking a bullet. And he knows that. He's saying friction. Well done, friction. I like that. Really good. Friction. Yeah, a lot of friction in their head with lead. That would be a lot of friction, I guess. Yes, 100%. Let me grab a couple of these if I can. So let's see. Jonathan says, a pizza cannon is a weapons delivery system I can get behind. I'm with you, Jonathan. I totally agree. Yes. Ed says, all we know, the gas shortage will lead in situations which raise the price of food. Oh, yeah, you're right. Everything that's transported over the roads, prices will not go up. You're correct, Ed. Absolutely. Yes. Jimmy, I don't laugh at you when you talk about military cyber attacks. Yes. It's 2021, not 1943. Times, technology have changed. And you meet them all the time. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that. It is not at all about, let's buy more tanks. We have lots of tanks, and we have the best tank in the world. We're good. Let's get some hackers. Let's do that. That's what I want. Absolutely. James says, Russia is a hacker haven, and Putin can't do squat about it. Do you think, James, you think that Putin doesn't know, doesn't care? That's my issue, right? Maybe he doesn't know every hacker. Maybe. But I think he can't do anything about it. I mean, clearly he's going to have his own hackers, and he's got a secret state police. He could be kicking. He can kick in doors at will. I mean, he can go, oh, where do you think it came from? Minsk? Whatever. Let's go to Minsk. I don't care if it's in my country anymore or not. I'll send my Russian KGB or whatever is the equivalent now. What are they called now? They're different than that KGB anymore. Whatever they call them now. We'll kick in all the doors until we get them. I mean, he could do that. Do you think that he doesn't want to? I mean, I can't imagine a hacker squad in Russia, him being afraid of them. I mean, maybe, but I mean, Putin's pretty hardcore. If he wants people gone, they tend to go away. And he doesn't even care how popular they are. He's like, whatever. He says, as both the Saudis. Saudis are like, just go into an embassy and chop you up and stuff. I mean, the Saudis are like the mob. Putin's got a little bit more. He's like a spy guy versus a mob, but still, same thing. I don't know. Sam says, spot on analysis, Larry. Thank you. I'm trying my best to give you interesting content, and I hope it makes sense. Logic Rex, if the pipelines go down in that fashion, it's game over. If we thought we seen civil unrest before, whereas we haven't seen anything yet. Yeah, and I think it's because of what Ed said, right? The gas prices themselves aren't the reason, if that makes any sense. They're the cause, the root, but the reason will be the periphery. It'll be how food will be more expensive, or we can't get things done, or now you can't travel, or everything else will be more expensive, you can't get goods. That'll be the reason why. The actual gas itself won't be the problem. Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan says, valid blame if they knew and didn't fix it. Yeah, I mean, here comes the problem with cybersecurity. How much is too much? How much is not enough? Right? Everyone who's in security of anything, physical security, any type of security, there's a level that makes sense. right? At a certain point, you probably don't need a moat and spikes around your house, probably, right? Because anyone who would have to get past that, there's not enough stuff in your house to be worth it. Now, if you're a gazillionaire and you have tons of stuff in your house, maybe you do. It's got to be worth it. So the question is, did the people know? And did they think they were a target? I don't know. Or worse, did they think it would be cheaper to just pay the ransom? Note what no one said is, did they pay the ransom or not? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Maybe they're still negotiating with it. There is, sadly, there's literally a field of people who their job is to negotiate ransoms. That is how common ransomware is. There are people who their job is to negotiate paying the ransom. So I don't know. Were they like, well, it's going to cost me whatever, $10 million to fix this thing, or I just throw a guy $5 million if he attacks us and call it a day? Is that what happened too? I don't know if that happened, but I could see it. I could see it. Yes. So let's see. Grab another one. Jim says it's a conspiracy to justify resumption of work on the Keystone XL pipeline. Oh, that's what people thought. Huh. So the deep state wants to get the pipeline going, the Keystone pipeline. This is the way. Let's see what happens. I'm iffy on that one. Maybe. I'm iffy on that. Let me see what happens in the coming days. Let me see about that. So, all right. Ivanson says, what do you think about magnets sticking to people's arms where they had the shot? Is that a thing? I actually don't know about that. Is that true? Do magnets stick on their arm? Is that right? It's odd. Is there that much metal in the shot that when it cracked the thing off, it's stuck in there? That's if that's true, that's a whole lot of metal. If that's true, wow, that'd be kind of weird. I'll look into it, team. If you guys are watching, maybe we should check some videos. I don't know about that. I can't answer that. I don't know. I haven't seen that. Joe says it is the fault of company. Is it the Fed fault or company? I see people blame Biden without knowing about the cyber attack. Also true, Joe. There's the next thing, Joe. You've touched another great point. Do we just make this political? It's political. Just political. When it shouldn't be. This shouldn't be Biden's good, Biden's bad, Trump is good, Trump is bad. It should be, how do we prepare for this? This is going to happen again, right? It's going to happen again. So yes. So anyway, all right. Larry, what do you think of this person and the caucus I'm pushing? It's very good, Joe. Yes, I know. Like every episode, I get the same one. I know. Look, they love him. I get it. It's fine. You love him. All good. Good luck, Dave. All good. All good. Yes. Ed says the worst part if the cyber attack is going to major chain shopping sites. Why that? Chain shopping sites. It will almost be the same as like what happened with the PS5 scalper problem. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can grab this one. You're saying major chain shopping site. Oh, so like if they hack Amazon or something like that, that's what you mean. Like Walmart.com or Amazon or that kind of thing. Interesting, because then, well, yeah. I mean, if you could actually do that, oh my God, that'd be horrible. Because I mean, the companies have so much money, the ransomware would be insane. I mean, you could easily go, whatever, $500 million or whatever is the number you wanted. Basically, one, they could afford to give it to you. And two, how much money would they lose if they lost their site for 2, 3, 4 days? Massive amount of money being lost and then people being unhappy. So, yeah. And then what comes out, what doesn't, where does that stuff go? That's a valid point, Ed. Valid point. It's true. So let's see if I can grab this here. Not to change subjects on you, Larry. Yeah. You will. But did you see John McWhorter on Bill Maher's show? He was really good and probably with a Larry analysis. I like the problem I have with this, Michael, is I can't do Bill Maher on YouTube. I used to do Bill Maher all the time, but YouTube, Facebook always shut me down. HBO is very silly in that regard. I can't do any HBO stuff because if I show it on either Facebook or YouTube, they take it down because, it's copyright. Instead of HBO or Facebook, instead of HBO going, wow, it's great that someone's using our show and getting people to watch our show. They're like, it's my stuff. You can't use it. It's insanely dumb, but it's their policy. So I would love to do Bill Maher. I would love to do John Oliver. I can't unless maybe I'll go behind a paywall and do it on Patreon or something. Otherwise, YouTube and Facebook will just shut me down. Twitter will just shut me down and go, you can't use their stuff because their stuff. So that's the issue. So I would, but thank you. Yes. So, all right. AH says less centralization. 100% true. I do want us to do that. That is a critical piece. 100%. Let me go a little bit further into this, what this gentleman's talking about. He has a bit more to say. I think you will enjoy.
Because I think the Kremlin's going to take note here, but U.S. and our allies are going to find these guys and others and make them pay.
We got to be protected. What does the administration need to do to prevent
future
future attacks? And is it time for more than just talk and sanctions?
Yes.
Well, we have been engaged in what's known as persistent engagement out of Cyber Command and some of the other military cyber operations.
Because that's helps.
Been focused principally at the state actor level. So the Russian government agencies, these are criminals. So we have to make a call at some point that that ransomware and cyber criminals pose a national security threat. We have to put more, impose more costs on them. But the second thing is, and what I'm encouraged by are some of the reports out of the administration that they're going to release a federal cybersecurity executive order that's going to raise the standard of practice.
The amount of stuff he just said that has no value is shocking. I'm shocked by the amount of stuff he said has like zero value whatsoever. Just terrible. Oh, hold on. I got Tommy Brown popping in here. Hold on. I'm going to bring Tommy Brown in here to put his 2 cents on this piece too. Hold on. Let me see if I can grab him in real fast. Tommy, brother, you there?
Hey, buddy. How you doing, Larry?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm sitting here watching your show.
There we go.
And Larry, I'm in disbelief. Are these people kidding themselves? Are they crazy?
Yes.
Holy okay, first off, I got to ask you a question so I know where to go from there. Where do you want me to start?
There's no look, let me, you know where I want you to start? And what you had talked about, I don't know, a year ago, more, I don't even remember how far ago it was, when you were talking about worrying about the local level of something as simple as a hospital, a school system, something as simple as at a local level. You were talking about cybersecurity at your local county level, when now everyone is still talking about, well, what's Joe Biden going to do? I don't know how Joe Biden's going to affect my local hospital. How's Joe Biden going to affect my local school or my doctor's office? I don't get where that's going to happen.
Well, Larry, look, okay, first off, let me back up and then I'll get to that. This Chris Cribbs guy, I am appalled that a former security officer is denying in front of the American people that this is not a war. This guy has got to have about 3 brain cells that have quit working, because anybody with any logical common sense knows this is a war. John
100%.
McAfee said it when he ran for president in 2016. McAfee was spot on, Larry. He said it's only going to get worse, people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, local level. Education. That's Larry, that's where it's at. It's got to be education. You know, this current presidential administration, I really don't think they fully understand or comprehend what is at stake here. Now, earlier, one of your guests mentioned, was this a way to get the Keystone Pipeline or something to that effect online?
Yep.
Let me throw a monkey wrench into that thought for a minute.
Go ahead.
The key way to prevent a cyber attack is to have a backup system, or everything backed up, everything in multiple places.
Yep.
Gee, boy, that Keystone Pipeline would be really helpful at a time like this, wouldn't it?
Well, maybe they're right. So maybe I'm wrong here. Hey.
Interesting.
Okay.
You know, it'd be amazing how much petroleum that would bring into the U.S. Just kind of amazing there, isn't it? But I don't mean to jump topics, Larry. It's just there's so much wrong information getting put out here by people that's supposed to be in the know. That's why I asked, where did you want me to go? So if you want me to focus on local, that's fine.
But you brought up there's other people here talking about the same thing, talking about things like backup logs, paper to back up, electronics, and all that stuff. Wendy brings up the idea of electronic logbook. So thank you for that, Wendy. I didn't know what that meant. I appreciate that. Right. So electronic logbooks versus paper logbooks and all those types of things, that these are the backups you're talking about. But here's the hard part, Tommy, right? And this is what I talked about earlier about some people just would rather pay the ransom because it's cheaper. How much time and energy does it take? For example, I have a paper backup, right? Does a company decide, you know what, it's not worth it. I don't want to spend the time, money, and energy on this thing. I'd rather be relatively safe. And if they happen to hit me, I'll pay the fee. Is that not a realistic fear for us to have?
Well, first off,
to choose that?
First off, anybody that has an idea that they're going to pay a ransom is ludicrous. It's not. Okay. First of all, let's say that you do pay it. All right. What's to stop them from going ahead and crashing your system anyway? They just took you for money. Then, but then that ransomware, let's say that you pay the ransom. All right. That ransomware has just turned into an extortion because they got money out of you through fear.
Mm-hmm.
And see, this is what I hope your viewers understand. It starts with ransomware. The next wave that's coming, people, is extortionware. Larry, you and I talked. Okay, so here's the deal. And Larry, I hope you don't mind being put on the spot here, but I'm going to
the bad guy.
Okay, I'm going to use you as an example.
I'm the bad guy.
Let's say that Larry gets a phone call from a lowlife that says, "Oh, by the way, Mr. Sharpe, we know of all the bad things you did when you served in the military. How you broke the war tribunals and you avoided dishonorable discharge. If you don't pay us $350,000 by tomorrow, we're going to release your so-called dark history in the military and expose you. And out of fear, you're going to pay that." But what's to stop them from going ahead and doing it, Larry? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. So the first step becomes, well, no, but the thing that I worry about now is if you look at in any case of traditional counterinsurgency, traditional counterintelligence, right? Traditional CIA, KGB stuff. They always talk about the easiest way to get into any system is not through the system, it's through a person, right? If you can get through a person, the person can give you the system, right? That's always a way of doing it if you can. If the system is so tight that I can't get through, well, then I need to get to the individual who can get me in. Well, what you're saying is now I can use extortionware to now extort the security chief to get into the security now, because if he doesn't let me in, I show them the pictures of him with the girlfriend and whatever is the thing he's been doing, right? I do that. So now he's going to let me in.
Pretty much. You're exactly right. And this goes back to my earlier comment about education. You know, in my bid for county commissioner, Larry, and I hope you don't mind me throwing this out there, education is probably one of the biggest things that we can do in the cyber war. Yeah, Chris Cribbs, I called you a liar. It is a war, buddy. I'm sorry. But, you know, education is where this is going to have to go from. And I'm not talking just at a business or an individual level. I'm talking about introducing curriculum in our school systems to teach our younger generations how to avoid this. Because, Larry, as it's said in our history books, history always repeats itself.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you look back at history, look at all the two major attacks that we've had on the U.S. We've had Pearl Harbor and we've had 9/11.
Yep.
Well, feller, I hate to tell you this. Solar Winds was Pearl Harbor. The Colonial Pipeline was 9/11. What's next? They shut everything down. They're already on to us.
let me move on to a couple of comments if I can. Sarah says, "Come on, they're building weapons of war. Let's build more. That's worked over history. Oh yeah." And I think I get where Sarah's going. She's like, don't just keep building weapons. That's a bad thing. But what I would say is, when they are weapons of mass destruction, like cyber can be, and then they're testing it, like nuclear is, I think if you have a situation to where if anyone takes a bad step, everybody dies, I think at least we've seen since nuclear warfare has existed in 1945, I think you have seen it. It has been a deterrent. It's been a successful deterrent because everybody dies. There's no victory, right? But if it's I build more tanks than you, or I build more, or I craft more swords than you, if it's 1,000 years ago or whatever, then maybe I can actually overtake you, right? I can overtake you with my more tanks or my more swords or my more horses or whatever the case may be. But once you get to a certain level of cyber, of biological weapons, of nuclear weapons, it's game over. Think about it. The Nazis didn't use chemical weapons or biological weapons. The Nazis didn't, because they realized that if we use biological or chemical, maybe everybody uses it. Maybe we all die. So even the Nazis didn't use chemical or biological weapons when they had them. They chose to not use them even at the end. So, and well, the Japanese kind of did a little bit, but not against us at least. So anyway, I don't know. Where are you on this, Tommy? Am I wrong here?
Well, yes and no, Larry.
Tell me.
Sarah brings up a really good point, but you have to remember something. In the early stages of the Cold War, the Soviet Union had us outnumbered in the tank division. I think the ratio is like 15 or 20 to 1. Well, my friend, we found out in 91 that the Russian T-92 tank is nothing compared to the M1 Abrams. So
Correct.
Just because you can produce more tanks than we have or produce more planes than we have, brother, I'm telling you, the first Desert Storm proved it.
It did.
Numbers don't matter to us anymore. It really doesn't. Now, when you talk about cyber, this is where you have to be really deliberate in how you do this, because if you're not careful, it'll backfire on you. All right.
Okay, now, tell me how.
Okay. First off, I agree with you. Okay. Fully. We need offensive cyber weapons in our arsenal.
Yep.
What did he call it? Open contact, open negotiation.
Whatever. Yeah.
What is that?
He called it open engagement. That's just stuff he says.
So now we're talking to these guys politely, thinking that if we treat them nice, okay, never mind. Forget it. Anyway, offensive cyber weapons are good to a point.
Okay.
But it's when that offensive cyber weapon gets reversed and used on you. If they're already figuring out how to crack a pipeline, well, the electrical grid's next.
So you're saying that if we build offensive cyber weapons, that the counter to the offensive cyber weapon is a weapon that turns our weapon up against ourselves.
Exactly. So you got to be careful with the cyber weapon thing. I mean, great. Hey, look, it's a great idea. All right. Personally, I like it. But there's a danger factor there that could really, really, really hamstring us for a long time. And let's not forget, Larry, we are facing something else. We are facing an EMP. That's where they explode a dirty nuclear bomb above the atmosphere and it kills all electrical circuits.
Yep.
That card's still on the table. It doesn't have to be cyber. I'm just putting that out. I'm just putting that out there for thought. You're
just trying to make stuff worse. Okay, Tommy, I get you.
No.
Making stuff worse. That's it. Okay.
No, I'm letting you see that just because you have one weapon, it doesn't mean that they can't counter with another one or reverse one on you.
Yes, but there's something else you got to think about here, right? If there's also a cultural issue here, right? I think almost no one in the world believes now that a nuclear first strike is an appropriate thing to do, right? Most humans on the planet would think that's horrible. That would be a crime against humanity. That would be a terrible thing. Most Americans, people on the planet would go, how dare you do a nuclear first strike? That would be a terrible thing. You're an evil, it's a crime against humanity. That's what I'm not sure that even if America did it, Americans would even back that. I mean, we don't think that a nuclear first strike is effective. However, everyone believes that if someone nukes you, you get to nuke them back. Like, everyone believes that. If someone nukes you, you get to nuke them back. Everyone believes that. Well, not everyone, but the vast majority of Americans and humans would believe that that's an okay thing to do. If someone dirty bombed us and we were able to cyber attack them back and crush them, I think people would be like, yeah, that's totally effective. They EMP'd you. They trashed your entire electronics, grid for who knows how long. Yes, you trashed theirs with a cyber attack. I don't think anyone's upset about that. I think whoever would do the EMP would be the bad guy without question. And that group of people will be sanctioned or attacked or whatever the case may be. I think the goal is, do we have enough devastating force? The one thing that, Krebs said that made sense, that he was right on, is that there's no response that makes sense right now, right? These guys did something and we're going to do sanctions or something. And my point was, the only thing we have right now, sadly, that we have right now is special forces. That we could do. We could literally find out where they are, send in Navy SEALs, extract them, and get out. That's something the United States could do. That sadly is insanely dangerous because we did it in Afghanistan because we knew they wouldn't do anything. That's why we did it, to get Osama bin Laden. I mean, in Pakistan, because we knew they wouldn't do anything. They were upset, but they wouldn't do anything. We could do it in Syria. They wouldn't do anything. Would Russia do something? I don't know.
Guarantee it.
Right? I don't know.
Guarantee it.
But that's all we have right now. So I'd rather have because we're not going to nuke them over this. That's not going to happen. So nuclear weapons are not a viable option for us. And we're not going to put tanks on the ground. Not a viable. We're not going to start another war in Ukraine. Not an option for us right now. So our option is either a cyber attack or Navy SEALs, or we do what Krebs says and open engagement garbage that means nothing. And right now we're doing nothing. We'll sanction them or something or whatever. That's my reason for talking about building them more weapons, so that we would have something to do in response, and they might stop not because they're they can't do it, but because they're afraid that the result will be massive.
Well, and you're absolutely right, Larry. A minute ago you hit on local infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to switch gears here for just a minute, because I feel like your viewers are going to get a more realization of how dangerous it is if we focus on local. All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Most of your local electrical grid is controlled by computers.
Sure.
Most of your new water pumping station is controlled by computers.
Sure.
Wastewater is controlled by computers. Here in the town that I live in Indiana, we have got computer-controlled water meter readers. They actually send a signal to let them know how much water that you have used. So let's say that in a rural community like I live in, there is a ransomware attack put on all the files in county government. Everything, expenditures, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that brings us to another problem, because a local county government is not going to have that money.
Oh, sure. They can't afford it.
They can't. It's going to bankrupt them. So, do we look at this from what kind of destruction does it cause? Or do we reverse that and look at it, what kind of an economic struggle or pinch is that going to put us in? Not only, and look, Larry, we can go one further. Not as a local community. This nation is $28 trillion and growing in debt.
Yep.
Right? Do you really honestly want to slap a $650 to $3.5 million ransom on top of that debt and know that your kids and your grandkids and your grandkids' kids are going to have to suffer because you paid a ransom.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, this is
you're just one county in Indiana. How many counties are going to have to pay that ransomware?
Hey, you're exactly right. And sadly, my current elected county government laughs at me for even bringing this up. They think it's ridiculous that I'm even bringing this forward. And this pipeline cyber attack proves that I'm right. Our infrastructure is weak. Our infrastructure is not protected.
Yeah. So let me grab what Sam says. He brings a very point. Sam says, so if our pipeline can get hacked, why would we think our voting systems that were plugged into the net couldn't be hacked? Don't worry, the authorities said they can't be hacked, lol. You know, I think I'm not a guy who thinks that you know the election wasn't real. I'm not that. But I do believe there were irregularities, and I do think people have a valid concern. I don't think people think it's crazy to think this. And I'm like, it's not crazy. It could have happened. I think Sam's right. It could have happened. And I don't think that, I personally don't think that there was enough shenanigans that would have stopped the results of the election. I don't believe that, but I could be wrong. And I'm not upset about people doing inspections as they are. I'm not mad at it. They'll find an answer or they won't. Maybe there were. But Sam's point, why would someone think you're crazy for thinking that? He's right. If you could hack the pipeline, isn't it also possible to hack an election?
Well, he's exactly right. Now, you just raised an interesting question. Why would somebody think you were crazy for thinking this? My answer to that is simple, because most of your elected officials, regardless of whether they're Republican or Democrat, one, they have lost touch with the people.
Very often true. Yep.
They've in most cases, they've probably lost the confidence of the people. They don't talk to their constituents when they make a decision. They make a decision in a meeting, sitting behind a desk thinking, well, we'll deal with that later.
Yep.
And fourthly, Larry, they don't care anymore. It's all about the power game. And, you know, and look, you're living in the mecca of power grabbing central, buddy. Kumo is going crazy.
Absolutely.
And, you know, honestly, I'm really disappointed in Andrew Yang. He's running for New York mayor, and he's a tech guy. The guy's not even talking about it.
Not even talking about
it
at all.
And you know, and so what does that say about me? Here I am running for county commissioner in a nowhere county in Indiana, and I'm blowing it out of the water, Larry.
I'm with you.
So one of two things is true. Either I'm nuts, or we got a serious problem on our hands.
No. I think both are true. You're nuts. That's true. And you're right.
Okay.
Both are true.
Hey, I come from the John McAfee School of Cybersecurity, brother. I know I'm nuts.
And he was nuts too. 100%. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Let me grab a couple more if I can. Carl says crypto war sounds a bit more appealing than war. Yeah, but I mean, it's still a war. And the point in my perfect case, Carl, in my perfect scenario, because we have weapons that would do so much damage, there would be no war, right? That's the goal. The goal would be to deter the war. I would hope there'd be no war. That would be my goal. Like in the case of no nuclear war during the Cold War, the first Cold War. That would be my goal. Joe says using special forces to get in and out is better than an actual invasion and occupation for 20 years. Yeah, agreed. 100%. That's my entire point.
Can you back up? Can you back up to the comment before Joe's there and bring it back up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Carl brings up an interesting point, and I hope he's still listening. Carl, if you're listening, I want you to hear me out. You bring up an interesting scenario here. As we all know, crypto is gaining popularity probably worldwide. All right. Yep. Well, let me give you a little food for thought. You think it's bad now? the next cyber war is going to be fought in cryptocurrency's back door, because they're going to go after everybody's cryptocurrency and they're going to wipe it clean. They're going to be setting on all the money. You're going to be broke. So,
whoa. Okay. So hold on. So you're saying this ransomware isn't just going to be for, like, someone's information in a hospital or to not, or something like that. You're saying it's going to be to get your Bitcoin or your Litecoin or your Ethereum.
Exactly. Why do you think John McAfee was screaming for people he was coming out with new things to defend your cryptocurrency? Larry, this is only the beginning. I'm telling you, these guys, they are moving so far ahead of us so fast. I'm having trouble keeping up with it.
Well, there we go. See, Carl, you started some trash. See that? It's even worse now. All right. Sarah says, let's live our lives by an invisible war that still kills people. Sounds like a bigger COVID. Again, Sarah, I hope my goal would be that that's not what happens, right? I mean, obviously I don't have the perfect answer. I wish I did. If I had the magic answer, I'd give it out. My hope is to make war so terrible that people don't want it anymore. To make the outcome where there is no victory. Right? Where there's no victory. And that has to be the only way that we don't fight a war, where there's no victory. If somebody, and this is to Tommy's point, if there's somebody in some room who thinks, let's go bomb people or kill people, doesn't matter, my kids aren't going to go fight the war. The poor kids of America will go fight the war, whatever the case may be. Then they don't mind losing tens of thousands, if not millions of people, as long as in the end they win. That is a sacrifice. They're totally ready to sacrifice your brother, your sister, your cousin, your uncle. They're fine to kill your family, and they'll sacrifice them all so that in the long run they can win. And we've seen many wars that have done that. But if there is no victory, I think history has shown people tend to not to go to war when there's no way of seeing victory. And that's what I'm trying to achieve, Sarah. And maybe you're right and I'm wrong. I don't have a better answer. Tommy, am I crazy here?
Larry, I'm telling you, man, this problem is so diverse. Sarah brings up a really good comment. I credit her for that, because, she's not wrong. It's sometimes this is hard for people to comprehend, because the definition of war that I know I was raised on and you was raised on, it's not happening now. We can't physically see this war because it's in cyberspace. All right. So
right.
I get her point, and I see that. The only way we're going to stop this, and Larry, and I hate using the word stop, because it sounds like I know how to stop this. And honestly, it breaks my heart that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
What I would suggest is this. As soon as this show is over, everybody needs to sit down with their family, go over your cyber protocols, make sure your kids are educated on, if you're not sure if you should click on it, to ask. Adults, go through, make sure your passwords are safe. If you change your password, write it down. Don't leave it on the kitchen table. Put it away somewhere. But do those things regularly. Get in a habit. I don't care. Let's make it easy for people. Everybody changes their batteries in their fire alarms ever so often. When you change it in your smoke alarms, you go to your computer, you change your passwords, you write it down. When the next cycle comes around, you do it all over again.
No, I know what you're saying, and people might think that it's kind of, at a very local level, but what you're doing, and I get it, what you're doing, you're getting every individual to have this as part of their daily routine, their daily life, to know this is real, so that when they are in a bigger situation or a big situation, they're thinking about it, like, whoa, wait a minute. Could this be an attack? Could this be, an issue? Could this be a problem? Wait, let me not do the bad thing that ruins everything. Let me go get some help before I do it. I think it's what you've just given us is a very simple way to make this part of our daily routine.
And Larry, what I just pointed out and what I just brought forward is not centralization. Everybody has a key to the cybersecurity puzzle. And I wish that the Biden administration would wake up and have the initiative to reach across the aisle to the Libertarian Party and say, hey, do you guys have somebody in your party that is cybersecurity savvy that could help us deal with this? Because let me tell you something, Larry, the way they're going, I don't want to see the end of this.
It's not going to be good. I agree.
No, it's not, brother. It's really not. It's a sad situation.
I love it. Well, Tom, I want to say thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. It was pretty cool. Please tell everybody where they can jump on your Facebook group.
Oh, yeah. My Facebook group is Brown Book Cybersecurity. It's a public group. Matter of fact, Larry, thanks to your shares, we are now over 50 members. So we're growing. And that cyber group, regardless of the outcome of the election, whether I win or lose, that cyber group is not going to go away. It will stay because I want to keep pushing this because I believe in this. You know, Libertarian Party, we lost a major voice in cybersecurity when John McAfee was arrested.
Yep, very true.
I'm trying very hard to fill his shoes, and believe me, Larry, it's not easy. John was a whale of a guy, and he was very knowledgeable. So, Larry, thanks for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it. It's always an honor coming on your show, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for giving me a couple minutes. I appreciate it.
No problem, brother. Anytime.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
So I'm glad we had Tommy on. He's a local guy caring about local stuff, and he cares about cybersecurity in his own world. We should be copying what he's talking about. Logan says it's the FSB. Oh, is that what it's now? The FSB? Brian says it's now the SVR. I don't know what it is. I still call it KGB because when I was in the Marine Corps in the 80s, it was the Soviet Union. It was the KGB. But you're right. It's one of those other things. I'm not sure which one it is. Absolutely. Jonathan says, I think the preference shouldn't be necessarily for a military option first off. We have hackers. The white hats should be concerned with our infrastructure integrity, not necessarily attacking other nations' cyber infrastructure. Though I wouldn't take a cyber or actual military response to the table. You know, I feel like, I see where you're going. You're saying the first step for us is to, fix our own backyard, right? I get what you're saying. My worry is if we don't also prepare for an offense, that they're just going to work on their offense as we work on our defense, and we're never going to get on the offense. But if we get on the offense, it will make them shift to defense. And then if we're heavily on offense, then nobody can win. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't want this to be this cat and mouse. They're constantly testing. That's an issue that I'm concerned about. Michael says, I agree with decentralization as a solution. Yes. When you run a blockchain network that doesn't depend on any central service to operate, you become much harder to attack. Bingo. And technology exists to move away from these centralized networks so much of our infrastructure relies on. This would also help protect from an EMP. Yep. Or like a solar flare hits the earth head on, not just cyber attacks. This is what Tommy's talking about, Michael. Yes. I think that is the answer. And we constantly start looking for a centralized answer when the answer, I think, isn't that. I think it isn't at all. So, yes. Sam says Hamas is bombing Israel, U.S. hit by cyber attack, China moving to South China Sea, and Iran circling U.S. boats in international waters. WW3 setup, military hit plus economic bomb from the new axis of evil. Ooh. So it's Hamas and China and Iran. Well, Iran is kind of Hamas, right? I don't think they're kind of the same, right? So is the new axis, is it China, Iran? Is that the new axis of evil, China and Iran? Maybe. I mean, I think we have to wait. Maybe. Paula says, I'm surprised the U.S. Army is not calling on the cavalry to fight the cyber attack. Paula, look at you. The U.S. is so far behind fighting cyber warfare. Thanks for talking about this. Most people don't discuss it until after the attack and look shocked after it happened. Yeah, I mean, it just seems obvious. And I got to give some credit to Tommy. Tommy's been on me for a year at least, telling me to talk about this. He's one of the reasons why I keep doing it. He's always bugging me on it. And I'm glad he is. If you're still watching, Tommy, I'm glad you're bugging me. Don't stop. So it's great because he's totally right. We have to start working on this piece without question. We have to. Yes. So let's see here if I can do this. Grab a couple more of these. Logic Rex says, yeah, seen one video so far of the magnet sticking to arms. Is it a troll or is it real? Who knows? Yeah, I'm gonna look at it. I mean, I guess it's possible. I haven't seen it, so I'll look at it and I'll see. Maybe. Nate says, what are the chances this pipeline hack is an inside job or false flag? Yeah, and this is the point people are bringing up. And I mean, I guess it could, but is the reason because they want the pipeline? That seems like maybe. I mean, even Tommy brought it up. Maybe it is. It's possible. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like it's not. I feel like this is a test of our enemies to see if this stuff works. This is the test of a weapon system. That's what I think it is, Nate. But I don't have proof. That's my gut. My gut is this is a test of a weapon system to see if it can work and they can make a massive strike on all fronts. That's what I think it is. But I guess we'll find out. Well, what will be the response? I guess to get the pipeline open? Is that the reason? Maybe. Paula says, let no cyber crisis go to waste. You're right, Paula. Absolutely. So Missy says, now I feel the need to take a magnet and randomly walk up to my neighbors and see if it sticks. That wouldn't be weird at all, right? Yeah. Hey, let me see if it works. That would be kind of funny. Absolutely. Michael says, the random aspect of this attack will be used as an excuse to target cryptocurrency. Oh, Michael. Okay. Right. See, that I could buy because I'm telling you, the world's concerned about cryptocurrency. That's 100% true. The world is concerned about cryptocurrency. So you're saying this is like they'll do some kind of investigation, doing air quotes. They'll do some kind of investigation or review, and they'll find out it's because the cryptocurrency is how the people financed their dark side. And so we got to crack down on cryptocurrency so we can stop this. That's plausible. Michael, plausible. I still feel that it's a test, but that's plausible. And then see, Nate, if what you're saying, Nate, is what Michael's saying, that to me seems more realistic than the pipeline piece. I mean, maybe. I know Tommy does the pipeline too. Why are we so conspiratorial? Look at us. We don't trust anything. That's not our fault. That's their fault for them being so bad that we've lost respect for them and we've lost trust in them. That's not our fault. That's theirs. That's theirs. Sarah says, that's honestly my gut feeling. And so far, my gut is always right. I hope, look, maybe, Sarah, I get your heart is in the right spot completely. I hope you get that mine is too. I'm just trying. I think my answer, I believe, is the safest answer. But I'm open to being wrong. I might be wrong. It's possible. Who knows? So let me keep going if I can. All right. I came in late, so I don't know what's been said. Could this fuel freak out just be a means to push more people to electric vehicles? Oh my God, we got a third one now. Now it's electric vehicles? I could buy that one too. Wow, I'm not supposed to be that guy. No, you're all wrong. Trust government. That's not me. But no, see, I actually buy all of those more than a pipeline. I actually buy this one and I buy Michael's cryptocurrency attack more than I buy the pipeline one. These two, actually, they're more. I'm still going to go, though. I think this is an actual test to see if it'll work, but I'm actually open to these. I'm open to us using our free speech. I am, absolutely. Carl says they put code in their programming saying, if you've gotten this far, give us a call. We have a job for you. I like that, Carl. It's very good. Yes. Sam says, I just checked. No magnet sticking to my arm / shot site. Also, Facebook, YouTube know that you make comment videos under fair use doctrine. They know silence is greater than legal costs for small channels. Oh, is that what it is? Also, Facebook / YouTube know that you can make comment videos under fair use doctrine. They know silence is better than legal costs for small channels. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not concerned. I don't know. I would do it. What, they sue me? They could sue me. I don't mind. Let HBO sue me. That'd be great. I'd make some. I'm not paying them. I don't have any money, so I'm not paying them. But it's fine. I don't mind. It's all good. Yes. So Jonathan says, ask Mr. Brown if that's a don't tread on me blanket on his chair. It is. I know, Tommy. It is. Yes. So Missy says, hey, Tommy. Yes. A says, who's Tommy Brown? Tommy Brown is running locally in Indiana for his county commissioner and talks all about cybersecurity at a local level. That's the thing he talks about. That's who he is. He talks about cybersecurity at a local level almost on a daily basis. He's always talking about it, trying to get people to think about it. He wants it decentralized. He talked about this threat years ago, and he's just an advocate, and he's just someone who's always talking about it. So I wanted to bring him on because he's going to know something for sure. So yes. So all right. Logic says the population is too focused on the Fed. All they want to do is scream Biden, save us, save us. Yes. Thank you. That's not the right answer. Absolutely. Steve says, am I the only one who sees this as just one more example of constant crisis being used and abused by government? Watch the solution to this one be something that limits how everyday citizens can use the internet. Things related to hacking. Oh man. See, this is what this. Yeah. It's another one. That the answer is not going to be a good answer, right? Michael's the one talking about cryptocurrency. You're talking about internet use, but no one's going to solve the actual problem. So yeah. Jimmy says his Tommy guy is awesome. Well, there we go. See that? I love that. Yes. Carl says they're hacking college kids' computers and putting free textbooks in them. Is that true? Is that like, see, that was the thing they talk about, right? This is the Robin Hood thing, right? They're supposedly, taking the money and doing good with it. And while that sounds nice, right? And it does sound nice, but you're also robbing people. I mean, you make everybody's, gas prices double, and you hammer people for the entire summer, and you screw up people who got jobs driving and gas station owners, and food now is more expensive. So you can give college kids some textbooks. I mean, I guess it's good PR, but man, not for me. I mean, that's not what I want to hear at all. Yes. I mean, just terrible. Yeah. Ice Coast says ransomware used for extortion. Ransomware used for extortion. Yes. And the hardest piece is that's how you now get into someplace, right? Tommy and I were talking about. Yes. That's the biggest piece. How do they now get into something that's difficult, right? That's tough. So anyway, Paula says, we find the KGB are a couple of teenagers because he's hackers today. Who says they're two separate places, Paula? Why aren't those couple of teenagers working for the FSB or whatever is the new word, or the SRV of SVR, whatever it might be. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my issue. So Ryan says, I do $25, Larry. Thank you, Ryan. And Ryan's doing what I want to talk to you about. If you would like what I'm doing, if you think this stuff matters, then sponsor the show. Heading over to patreon.com/Sharpe. Throw me $10. Oh, like Ryan, $25 so I can keep doing this. Realize that if you click this Linktree link right now in the description, you can get our TikTok, you can get our Sharpe Way clips, you can get our MeWe. Yes, we got MeWe, even that, we got it all. We got our 2 YouTubes, we got TikTok, we got Instagram, whatever you're thinking, stuff is on it. There's content on all of those things. We can't do that if I don't get my team to do that. Patreon.com helps that. If you say, Larry, I don't have that kind of cash. No worries. You can head over to take the protest and civil disobedience survey at that link right there. Click that link, take that survey. It's about 5 minutes. Finish the survey and then share it. And that makes my sponsors happy. Theadvocates.org sponsor the show also. So if you don't have cash yourself, support my sponsor by taking that survey. Well, Larry, I took the survey. Okay. Like, comment, share. That helps no matter what. Like, comment, share. Helps no matter what. It gets more people to see the show. Please do that. Click something wherever you are. Subscribe if you want to. And of course, what I will always ask, if you want to, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, the Sharpe Way YouTube channel, subscribe, click that bell for notifications. Makes everybody happy on a Sharpe Way. So that's also a great thing you can do. I appreciate all the help that you guys can give. I definitely appreciate that. So yes. All right. If I can keep going here. Brian says, blackmailing a person to gain access. That is why the military should allow homosexuals. They are there anyway, but if they didn't have to hide it, they can be blackmailed. Well, that was one of the damages that was one of the excuses they made, right? You don't want, you don't want someone who's homosexual. You don't want someone who is bisexual. You don't want someone who is insert thing that the military thought wasn't, straight and narrow, because they can be blackmailed. But if no one cares, if you're not whatever they consider the straight and narrow, whatever they believe that is, then who cares? I completely agree. Let anybody in. I don't care. Whoever you want, right? Whatever. As long as it makes sense for the military, obviously, right? Not just random people. But as long as it makes sense for the military, why not? If there's no worry, then there's no blackmail. If someone goes, "You're gay," and they go, "Yeah," and can't blackmail you. No, nobody cares. I completely agree. Yes, the issue is it has to be a problem, right? That has to be the issue. It has to be a problem. If it isn't, then no. So yes. All right. Carl says, I can show you how to take down a tank with 5 matchsticks, a roll of toilet paper, 50 cal machine gun with armor-piercing rounds. Well, the 50 cal is the big deal, right? But some of the newer tanks, Maudus ain't going to work. The older ones, yeah. Newer ones, that's not going to work. It's going to be a problem. The 50 cal, for those of you who don't know, the Maudus, 50 caliber machine gun is a hell of a machine gun. It's not supposed to be used against personnel, because it's that terrible of a weapon. It's not supposed to be. So what we would say in Marine Corps when we were fighting people, and the idea we were obviously training, we'd say, you can't fire the 50 cal people. You say, I'm firing at their cartridge belts. See, they just happen to be wearing them. So I'm trying to destroy the equipment, not them. They just happen to be wearing the equipment. So I know, terrible Marine Corps joke, but it is literally a Marine Corps joke, 100%. So any case, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I want to grab the last piece if I could. This one is of a specialist who was talking about also what happened and what he thinks about it. Let me grab this one if I can.
Potentially what the next steps are.
Hey, thanks for having me. So, right
this
now
is Bloomberg.
We know very little. Colonial just put out a new statement saying that they're working on a plan to get the main lines back in operation, and that some of the lateral lines are now back in operation. But as it pertains to the hack, we don't know exactly what's going on. We know we reported
that's an issue
last night that hackers had stolen almost 100 gigabytes of data from Colonial and were threatening to release it if they had not paid the ransom. But
yeah, there we go. See, that's the pipeline, how big that thing is. That's all the way from Texas, all the way up to New Jersey. And so far, they hadn't paid the ransom that we know.
It's completely unknown right now whether they're considering paying the ransom or if they're trying to solve the problem in another way.
Yes.
So you just mentioned and that Colonial doesn't know broadly when they're going to come back online. We don't know if they're going to pay anything towards the ransomware bill. But at the same time, have their operations been disrupted at all, making it difficult to get that main line that goes again from the Gulf Coast to the Northeast going again?
Right. So the hackers were able to
look at this ransomware attacks. Most targeted countries in 2020 and 2021. The US 370 plus. The UK 29 plus. Australia 15 plus. Brazil 9 plus. Where's Russia? I don't see Russia. Where's Israel? I don't see Israel. Where's Germany? I don't see them. Yeah, I don't see them. Why these? You tell me Germany's not a wealthy country? Israel's not a wealthy country? What's going on here? The US. That's really bad. Where I think they're testing it. I think they are. That's where my head goes. They're testing it. These are, with the exception of Brazil, obviously, these are English-speaking countries too, right? So they're testing to see if this stuff works. I really think it's a test. I mean, it might be other things you're talking about, but I think it's a test.
Of computers on the kind of IT network of the company. So it wasn't, the actual computers that control the pipes and the flows and all that, but they were. And the last piece I want to bring up is it wasn't the computers that control the pipes and whatnot. But what if it could have been? Right? What if it could have been? It makes it sound like it's not a big deal. Well, don't worry about it, right? It wasn't those computers. Yeah, next time it will be.
When they find out that this works, next time it will be. That's the issue. That's the issue. So, yes. Joe says, Joe Jorgensen actually won the presidential election. 98% of the voters were hacked by duopoly in the media. See that? Joe Jorgensen won the election. It was all stolen by the hackers. There we go. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. Yes. Jim says, I'm going to join the Amish. They're the only ones truly living green. That's true. You can't hack the Amish. Very true. Absolutely. 100%. So not too bad. Not too bad. Sam says, can you imagine the fallout of Marino SEAL team getting caught in a secret op in Russia to arrest that group? International incident. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Sam. I don't like that answer. I just can't think of a better one. The sanctions don't work. We don't have a cyber attack that's worth anything right now. We just don't have it right now. It's not where we are. We can't nuke them. We're not going to drop a bomb on them. We're not going to have to do an invasion. What do you do to stop this from happening every other week? You just saw that thing I just mentioned, 2020, 2021, 370 plus. That's almost one cyber attack per day. How are we going to stop it? Remember the cyber attack just happened to the entire country last year? Yeah, doesn't matter who the president is. We're not ready for this. It's clear. We all know this. Libertarians, you know this. They attack the soft targets. America is clearly a soft target, so they attack us. We can't be that soft target. So you're right, Sam. That would suck. But what's worse? Next year we have 750 attacks on us, or a Navy SEAL team gets caught. But either way, I wouldn't do a secret op. I would do an op that will be a surprise. But once I do it, I'm telling them. I'm saying, no, we went in and we took them and we grabbed them. We did that. So next time you do it. You don't do it, we can do it again. We'll keep doing it until you do it. So I wouldn't make it secret. It'd be a surprise, not secret. A little bit of difference. I would let them know that it's done. I'm not going to tell them, obviously, while we're doing it. But once it's done, I would tell them straight up. So now you have a choice. You do it next time, or we'll do it again. So Michael says, cybersecurity has to keep pace with advances in quantum computing. So far, our encryption is good enough, but there is an encryption arms race versus quantum computing. I worry more about that than individual hackers who find easy targets. The pipeline had lax security. Okay. Hackers go where they find vulnerabilities. Bingo, soft targets. Thank you, Michael. And the ultimate vulnerability comes down to this. We need quantum-resistant encryption that is competently managed. Okay, I got to say that one twice. We need quantum-resistant encryption that is competently managed. That is an amazing sentence I never thought I would say. But man, it sounds like it's the right thing. I love it, Michael. That's awesome. I'm glad you said that because people should hear that. People should know that this is not a joke, that this is really an issue that many of us are going to have to deal with. So yes, Ivanson says crypto is a scam. I hope it's not because I own crypto. I hope you're wrong. But I am worried about what Tommy said. I am concerned that eventually the hackers come for the crypto in some way. The sad part is I'm not savvy enough in that world to know how that would even work. I mean, I think what Michael's talking about is real, right? That there's going to be a race to see who can move first to do whatever they have to do. So Joe says US dollar is less than Bitcoin, is less than silver, is less than bullets. See, now you start in trouble, Joe. You had to add the bullet part. Leave it alone. Carl says, I don't invest in cryptocurrency. I bury gold in random places and then write clues on where to find it on parchment paper. Okay, that's a way, Carl. That's not the way I would do it, but okay. I'm not sure I would do that. Nice. I love that. John says, I find it almost unbelievable that a cyber attack kills a pipeline. Even on Navy warships, there's always a second option, manual operation to manipulate, evolve. This is a valid point, John. I think this is what I was talking about to Tommy, right? Does a person or a company believe that the cost to have that backup? We were talking about earlier about the truck drivers, right? They have electronic logs. Well, we could just do paper logs, right? So we could still move, but now it's paper logs versus electronic logs. So does the company want to spend the money to have a backup system? If you're a military, of course. I mean, I'll show my age. I'll give you a crazy example, John. In the military, when I first joined artillery, as you can see by the pieces behind me, when I first joined, we were using a computer system to decide, how to fire the weapons. Right? It was a computer system. They probably still have it now. I assume this was 30 years ago, but it was very new when I was using it in the 80s, very new. So in my artillery school, they literally taught us trigonometry, and we could actually do all the rules with a slide rule to figure out exactly how to fire the guns to hit their targets. So I was literally taught how to manually compute what each piece should be set at to fire and hit a specific area. In case, your point, John, everything went down. EMP blast, everything goes down, things break, no batteries. We had to be able to fire those artillery pieces by paper and pencil. Had to. When we would go to the field, we literally had the trig books. We bring them in case we had to bust out the trigonometry books to go through and to figure out how to calculate everything, to include curvature of the earth and everything, because those weapons, they fire 15 to 20 miles. That's how far they can fire. You can't be off at all or you miss your target. So I agree. The military does that, right? Navy warships, of course. Tanks, there's always a hand crank somewhere. 100%. Every truck, there's always a hand crank somewhere in case everything goes down. Of course. But does a pipeline do it if it costs that much? I hope now that's true. I hope they see the error in their ways and can now repair, because I think you're totally right. For something that important, there should be a manual override, right? There should be something that says, okay, computer systems are down. I'm going to send my mechanics out, not my technicians. I'm going to send my mechanics out and get this pipeline moving. I'm with you. Yes. So Joe says, I don't change the battery in my smoke alarm. Okay, that's not good, Joe. That's not a good thing. You shouldn't be proud of that. You should change your battery. Yes. Chip Perry says, several years ago, North Korea sent 2 Scuds with launchers to the Panama Canal under 200 tons of sugar. Oh, is that true? That's called a Scud to tub. I like that. That was to test to see if they could get them through. There we go. They know we have very little missile defense pointing south. The only reason they got caught was when they went back through the canal without going into a port. It raised a big red flag. Ah, okay. There we go. But see, I think you're with me on this one then, Chip. This is a test, right? It's a test to see if it will work, right? If it would actually work. I think you're right. See, you and I on the same page there. John says there is always a way into a cyber network. A casino in Las Vegas was hacked through an unprotected Wi-Fi fish tank thermometer. Freaking fish tanks. This is the Internet of Things we're dealing with. Absolutely. Yes. Bernard says, I work for a healthcare insurance company that made us change passwords once a month. And I think this is Tommy's point, right? Tommy's talking about that at a local level. The more conscious you are of security, the better. And this is to John's point, right? There was someone who installed that Wi-Fi fish thermometer who didn't think the way Tommy and the way Bernard are thinking, is that anything could happen. I should protect that thing. I should protect that Wi-Fi fish thermometer. I think this is the point of local. We individually have to start thinking, how do I keep myself safe? And making it so hard that it's not worth it. Now, obviously, John, if you're going to hack into a casino in Las Vegas, it's a big payoff, right? That's a big payoff. That's worth a little extra work on that one. I get it. You're going to hack into some guy's house? I mean, unless he's like a billionaire or billionaire or something, is it worth it? It's not worth it. The target becomes too hard, if that makes any sense, right? You want the target, you want the target to be harder than the value, so that someone's not going to spend the time, money, and energy, to do that. So yes. Key says they were doing those calculations in the Civil War. I would say, yeah, they do those calculations of is it worth the deaths in almost every war? They say, is it worth it? Right? There's always the idea of casualties, and they know there will be casualties. And the question is, do the people who are fighting the war believe the casualties are worth it? And at the end, there will be a victory. Do they believe that? And if they do, they go to war. They don't believe it, they don't. I think it's exactly right. It's cool. Just found Larry's page on MeWe. I wasn't kidding. I got all the cool things. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. Michael says it is possible to weaponize tokens on crypto networks. Huh. All right, tell me about this one, Michael. I know I built one in 2016, 2017. Well, now I'm scared of you, Michael. Now I don't want to take any crypto from you. Melted a friend's MacBook in Minnesota and kicked off Coinbase for sending a token to my Coinbase account. The ransomware users are asking for crypto. It would be vulnerable to an attack like that. Oh, Michael, very savvy, very savvy. So we could actually have, in theory, then, I guess, Trojan horses in cryptocurrency. I'm not going to discuss the logo I use on the ETH network. Well, of course, I mean, as one does. I'm kidding completely. A few people in the crypto space know what I did. That's very interesting. The idea that you could actually, this is basically the equivalent of the blue explosive pack in the money when you give the money from the bank, right? You open up the thing and the big blue dye explodes in you. Same thing. Michael's got a crypto blue dye pack. I like that. That's not bad. I like that. That's a good way of thinking of is it even a cyber attack? Yeah, it is. Or cyber defense. Either one of those. Sure. So most people don't realize that grunts and snipers have to have an aptitude for math. It's true, right? It's true. It's particularly snipers. Particularly snipers. But yes, grunts in general, but particularly snipers. Absolutely. Yes. 15 Hosa says, I'm not sure if you've discussed this yet, but what are your thoughts on cryptocurrency? By the way, I'm a big fan. Thank you. I appreciate the fan piece. But yes, I think cryptocurrency is great. I'm a big fan. I own some of it. I don't know enough about it. And now that Michael's telling me something about it, I got to worry if Michael's going to slip me some bad crypto. But no, I hope Michael's on my side. I hope he is. So yeah, I'm a fan. BKNY says, what's a good rule of thumb for government regulation? As a new libertarian, I struggle with this sometimes. Yeah, of course. I'm always going to give you a general rule on regulation, right? What you want is the original rule of regulation, which means to make trade regular. So I'll give you an example. Someone else goes, Larry, would you accept any regulation on the Second Amendment? I would. What? I thought you're a big 2A fan. I am a big 2A fan. But would I accept regulation? I would. And I would accept regulations that make it easier or clearer for someone to purchase. And I'll make up an example. Let's say some people wanted to sell firearms in America, in the market, and they wanted to use a specialized measuring system. And people couldn't understand it. I would be okay saying, no, if you're going to sell a firearm in the United States, you must be able to translate that measuring system into either American standard or into metric. That's a regulation that makes it easier for someone to understand. Let's say we were having problems with, say, I don't know, people were buying firearms and not understanding how bad the kickback is sometimes. And they were hurting their shoulders or even hurting themselves or going to the hospital. And we wanted to make a regulation that said every firearm that's a rifle has to have a somehow you have to have on your documentation a level of kickback. You have to have that on your, that's a fine regulation. It makes it easier for someone to decide what firearm works for them. Too much kickback, I don't want it. I want less kickback. And you have some kind of regulation on what level is X level of kickback. Those type of regulations are fine. I'm not halting someone from buying. I'm not stopping some from doing it. I'm being more open in the market, or I'm regulating to make it regular, that everyone understands what's happening and how a consumer can do it. So those types of things of regulations, I'm okay with. If it's a regulation that assists a consumer in making a good decision, we can have those conversations. That's a conversation I'm open to having. But if it's like, no, you can only have it if it's this. No, you can only have it if it's that. That's not a regulation. That's a restriction. Right? That's a restriction. Oh, you can have it if you pay all the extra fees. Well, that's a money grab. So in my view, that's not a regulation. A regulation should make commerce more regular, which is the original meaning of regulation. Easier or clearer or safer for the consumer to purchase it. That is, I think, what we want to talk about when it comes to regulation, right? Can we make things more regular, easier for the consumer, clearer for the consumer, better for the consumer. That's where I think regulation's the piece. Joe says regulation should be informative. 100%. Yes, right? I want to know what I'm purchasing. I want to understand what's happening, particularly in a case of a firearm, particularly in that case, right? I want to make sure I know, look, if you're someone of small stature, you probably don't want to buy a firearm that's got a massive kick. It's gonna literally drop you on the floor if you have small stature. So you probably want to know which one. Okay, this one works for me. This one doesn't. Right? If you don't know anything about firearms, you might want to go with a revolver. It's a simpler style of weapon. You might want that. It's up to you. But again, you should know what that means. So if you're going to make regular, that's what I would say with regulations. And I'm open to have all those types of conversations, depending upon obviously the specifics, but I'm open to those ideas. I hope that was clear. So yes. All righty. So see if I can do this. Jay says, why does the U.S. not have good cybersecurity? We haven't focused on it. We just haven't. We've ignored it. We've sat on our laurels. So we've done. America has thought we're the best. We're awesome. Nobody can mess with us. And in a ground war, that's true. I mean, we can just, yeah, that's true. But no, that's not, doesn't matter anymore, if that makes any sense. It's not the big issue. So yeah. So anyway. All right, well, let's keep going here. Let's see. Carl says, call me crazy, but maybe oil pipelines have a bad reputation because people want to hack their computers. You know, Carl, you have a valid point, right? If you want to play the Robin Hood, I'm going to save the day, you probably want to attack the big evil oil company. It does actually make sense. I think you have a valid point here. You wouldn't want to hack a school system, right? Boy, you look like a terrible person doing that. But the evil oil company, yeah, I think it's a great point, right? The idea of being the Robin Hood or trying to pretend to be the Robin Hood maybe is the more accurate way of doing it. Would be attacking an oil line. Smart move. I agree. Yes. Steve says, sadly, the future of crypto is that governments will ban the decentralized our version and impose their version. Yeah, that I feel that is the future. Didn't a couple countries just recently ban Bitcoin? Was it India? I think it was India. So yeah, I think you're right. That's the future. And impose their version, which will include top-down controls of wallets and tracking of every single transaction by ID. My gut tells me that when the dollar eventually collapses, which it will eventually collapse, whenever that's going to happen, they're going to replace it with a cryptocurrency and go, this is the whatever US coin or Americoin or whatever is the thing they're going to call it. And they're going to say, this is the new dollar and it's worth this. And I think you're right. It may, if we do that, then by default, it would make every other cryptocurrency. I mean, they'd all be counterfeit overnight. They'd be counterfeit. You wouldn't be able to use them unless you want to go to jail. That's not a crazy outcome. That's something that could actually happen. Yeah, that could happen 100%. So Brian says Robin Hood stole from the legal government. That's true, but they're just trying to act like Robin Hood. So I don't know. I think that's really the issue, right? I think that's what they're trying to achieve. Yes. So guys, I hope this was an interesting show for you. I hope you saw some things that made sense, but you think. Hope you enjoyed Tommy coming in as his guest show appearance. And as always, if you like what you see, help me out. Head on over, like, comment, share. Take the civil disobedience survey or head over to patreon.com/Sharpe Way. Throw me a couple bucks, 10, 25 bucks, whatever you can spare. Or just like, comment, and share. Thank you so much for giving me a piece of your evening. I will see you all tomorrow.